The news is a shit show these days, and we're here to give you a break from the white supremacist media bullshit by bringing you the shitty news so that you can feel less like shit because you know the people discussing all the fucked up shit give a shit about you and the shitty situations you deal with every day. So shit. Pour yourself a glass and settle in for Father Teresa's wine cellar.
A priest has been sentenced to 5 years in prison after it was discovered he had a collection of thousands of images of child pornography.
Jesus, these fucking guys.
Of course.
Can we just, you know what? I'm not gonna monetize it anyway. Fuck, kill them.
Kill him. The U.S. Attorney's Office of the Eastern District of Missouri said that priest James, I don't know how to say his last name, Begley?
Uh-oh.
Beigghlie?
Beiga Bailey.
Bailey?
Let me take a look at that. I bet that's Bailey. All right.
And
Oh
close the
shit!
tab.
I killed it. I shut the whole game down. I'm a tab closer. All right. I don't know how to handle these Samsung smart devices. All right. So this retired priest, their sentence, the 72-year-old's arsenal of abusive material was discovered after he left nude images of himself on a church printer.
That was the funny, but not funny part.
Jeepers
Yeah,
creepers.
that's how he got caught, because he had his own nudes on the church. Yeah.
Okay, so the U.S. Attorney's Office of Eastern District of Missouri, they said on Tuesday that the Vincentian priest, James T., that's definitely Bailey.
Bailey?
Yeah, because the E-I-G-H, we know that's A.
Yeah,
right?
but I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's 100% Bailey.
Bailey?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a wordsman. Hey, James T. Bailey of St. Louis, Missouri had 1,000 furthermucking pictures containing child sexual abuse material on a computer, including child pornography and images of child erotica. That word doesn't seem appropriate.
It does not.
Bailey created 2 PowerPoint presentations with graphic titles that linked to thousands of images and often visited and edited the presentations over a period of years. So this means he's presenting them to a network of sorts. Is there a further investigation going? How many cops might be implicated if they investigate too far?
Definitely that one in Boston. Remember we covered that story where he was like the former cop, and then now he was the head of like one of the police unions in Boston, but he had like raped someone when they were a kid, and then like he kept fucking with that. He was a male child.
Yes, I remember.
And then like kept messing with him, and then ended up raping that guy's kids when that guy got married.
Yes.
Like it was like literally he was like intergenerationally raping kids in that family.
I remember that story.
Fucking piece of shit.
Fucking and over this period of years, the office said they're adding that he had a second computer with an additional 236 images and 40 videos of similar content. Court documents say that some of the children in the slideshows appeared to be under the age of 12, and that some of the content portrayed sadistic and masochistic conduct. Again, masochistic.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm not the journalist. I'm not the editor.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have gone with the word masochistic in this instance.
Yeah, again, like what was another term that we saw here that didn't seem appropriate?
Child erotica.
Yeah, in language that just it doesn't seem responsible.
Mm-hmm.
Assistant U.S. Attorney Colleen Lang said during court that the now retired priest, revised his slideshow presentations more than 200 times. How many different audiences of what size were these presentations presented to? Present is in the word.
Mm-hmm.
Quote from Colleen Lang: "This criminal conduct was part of his daily life," end quote. Bailey had been looking at child sexual abuse material since at least 2008, which wasn't exactly a short time ago at this moment. It is 15 years ago. But it wasn't until 2020.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So, like, when you think about that, like, theoretically, like, some of the kids that he started watching, depending how young, he might still be watching right now in a span of 15 years.
Yeah.
Like,
and if it's like, and then they said some under 12, but like if they're over 12 up to 15, they could be 30 years old right now.
It's disgusting. Yeah, I just...
I didn't turn it on. The telephone went out. Phoenix Clear, if you don't touch Phoenix Clear's telephone screen, it will go the fuck off.
Yeah.
Phoenix Clear has that shit on like a 10-second timer, and it turns off.
I do. It's for work. I can't...
Yeah, so the article was not done.
Yeah, Bailey had been looking at child sexual abuse material since 2008, but he wasn't found out until 2021. It was in May of that year when he was working as a pastor at St. Vincent de Paul Parish in St. Louis as part of the congregation mission that some of his colleagues found, quote, compromising images of him on a church printer. According to the facts stated in his guilty plea, the images were that of a nude man and were found to have been created by Bailey. That finding launched an investigation within the church, who, according to court documents, asked Bailey to turn over his electronic devices. That had been paid for by the congregation. And that is why I do not go to church. Every time you go and you tithe or you give your offering or you do some sort of work that keeps the church going, this is what it's going to.
Yeah, and remember, like, you may love fucking, I don't know, Claudette's muffins or whatever the fuck she makes for the church bake sale. That's for the church. Fuck Claudette's muffins. All right, fuck that fucking needlepoint that them niggas do, or whatever it is the men are selling. I can only think of things women sell because they're so patriarchal. You immediately associate the food with the women.
At ours, there were men who did like carpentry and stuff, and they would make like wooden toys for kids and like puzzles and shit.
Yep, fuck those puzzles.
Yeah.
Fuck them. Don't buy their shit. Do not help American churches or any churches. Don't help churches.
Yeah.
They're all pedophile rings. Every Abrahamic church has pedophilia just in the culture. If it's Abrahamic, it's pedophilic.
So they asked him for his devices that were believed to have been paid for by the congregation. He handed over 4 desktop computer towers, a laptop, and 4 hard drives and a smartphone. That's how much shit y'all paid for him to have images of children being raped on. 4 towers, a laptop, 4 hard drives, and a smartphone.
But you're on Libs of TikTok mad at a drag queen.
Right.
Nigga.
A private IT support company soon found videos of what appeared to be minors engaging in sex acts, and court documents say there is no indication that anyone else had access to the devices during that time. Bailey was removed from his position in the church, and court documents show he was sent to a different facility known as St. Mary of the Barrens in Perryville, Missouri. The church...
Fuck, that sounded too BoJack Horseman-y.
St. Mary of the Barrens?
And then it continues?
In Perryville, Missouri?
Yeah, let's do it all together.
St. Mary of the Barrens in Perryville, Missouri?
That is fucking... That is... Alright, we found a little bit of... It's a horrible story. Little thing there.
Things.
Yeah.
The church then contacted the FBI, which began its own investigation. The priest pleaded guilty to 2 counts of child possession of child pornography in October. Wait, 2 counts? Didn't they say this nigga had like 4,000 images?
Were these like just the first 2 that made him go further?
No.
So just 2 counts.
2 counts.
Each image should be a count.
Yes. After it was realized there was a child care center near St. Mary's, the congregation relocated the priest to a renewal center in Dittmer, Missouri.
Relocate!
Also, who is paying for these relocations? This is what your offering money goes to, people. I cannot stress enough. I know that some of you you seriously love Jesus. You love your little friends in your church community. I get that, but when you support it, this is also what your money and time and energy and efforts go to. Stop it.
And if you stopped, are you afraid of how short or long of a time before you become an atheist and you realize you were only going to the church to socialize? Like, these were actually just your only friends?
On Tuesday, he was sentenced to 5 years. He had thousands of pictures of child sexual abuse materials, and he only got sentenced to 5 years. Fuck this guy, man. Fuck this guy.
Right back out in the priesthood.
He also has to pay a fine of $25,000, and a portion of that money, $4,750, will go to one of the victims who was in the child pornography, the office said, while the remaining $22,000 will go towards victims of crimes involving other children.
And you know the cold shit is, the only conservatives, and I mean that word conservative, the only conservatives that are going to visit any harm upon this man will be the same niggas that you put in prison on a dime bag of reefer.
Yep.
Like, those are the only people that are actually going to do justice. And from what I hear in some of these stories from the OGs, it's coming.
Good.
It's a coming.
Good. I don't feel bad. Prior to serving at the St. Vincent de Paul Parish, Bailey was also on faculty at St. Thomas Aquinas, Mercy High School, and Vincent Gray Academy, also in St. Louis, and spent time as an associate pastor at Our Lady Queen of Peace Parish in House Springs. How many children has he molested or raped in all these positions? Because he's working at high schools.
High schools, how often is he visiting middle schools, elementaries?
I mean, the whole fucking confession thing, man.
Yeah.
Confession's fucking creepy. Like, when you're raised in it, it sounds normal, but like to outsiders, that shit sounds crazy because it is crazy. You go into a dark box and tell a man all the sexual impure things you think about.
And like specific,
What?
right? Like, are people really going in there and they're just like, I was in the bank, I stole a pen, that is stealing, that is a sin. It's not for that. And that's why the Mormon church copied it. It was good to find out, like, through documentaries and whatnot, that I wasn't the only person that just casually called Mormons Third Testament Christians. It's like, oh good,
Nice.
the professionals actually say it. Thank you, nerds. And like Bishop Willard Mitten Romney, like that Mittens Romney that's in, what is he, in Congress or Senate?
I thought he was a senator.
Senate. Yeah, Mitt Romney, he was a governor of Massachusetts out there, but now he's a senator. And he is a Mormon bishop. So like when girls turn 13, they tell him every single time they've masturbated. That's what's in there. That's the reasonable guy. And keep in mind, the drag queen is weird. Mitt Romney is normal. That's what you people that disagree with me are. That's what you think. I've seen you say it, so go fuck yourself if you say it.
Yeah, it's wild. Reverend Patrick McDevitt, a superior for the Congregation of the Western Province, said in a statement that the circumstances are very saddening, but we respect the judge's decision. Saddening for who? I hope you mean the children who were on film. I don't think that's what you meant, but I hope that's who you meant.
No, they mean because somebody done did something to the patriarch.
He also added that exploitation of children through pornography is a grave sin. I don't like that sentence. I do not like that sentence.
It's a sin, not a crime, not a
But
transgression.
exploitation of children through pornography is a grave sin. Does that mean if it wasn't on film, it's less sinful? I don't even know if that's what he meant, but I don't like that wording.
Yeah, and if you ask him, he is not gonna fucking tell you.
He will not.
Especially if you ask him on camera and he wasn't prepped for the question. If he was prepped for the question and he has some fucking out the box whoop-de-whoop politician answer, you ask that nigga on the spot and he might fucking shoot you.
He might. Prior to this week's sentencing, McDevitt asked the presiding judge for mercy for Jim and even offered for the congregation to pay to house him in lieu of imprisonment. This is what happens when you go to church. This is where your money goes. They know he has child sexual abuse material for years. They have the documentation, thousands of images. He plays with them. He rearranges them. He edits them for years.
And makes presentations. Again, presented to who?
And church wanted the congregation to pay to house him instead of sending him to prison. That's what you're paying for when you go to stop fucking going to church. Honestly, I've been louder about it on Twitter, but I'm getting real loud about my disrespect for Christians at this point, because y'all just be letting the worst people do anything in the name of your God, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
This is the quote when he asked for mercy. "I'm asking that you spare him incarceration and instead allow him to reside at the St. John Vianney Renewal Center," he wrote in a letter. "If he is allowed to remain at VRC, I will see to it he is never transferred from the facility unless his health deteriorates and hospitalization is needed. His care will be paid for by my congregation." I want to know if the congregation knew that shit. Did the priest go up and be like, "Hey, one of my buddies likes to rape children and I don't want him to go to prison. Can y'all pay to keep him alive? Pay for his housing?" What Jim has done is wrong and criminal.
Oh, God.
After Jim was moved to Perryville, he started engaging in prayer. He eats his meals with his, I don't know what that, with his colleagues, and is an active participant in community life. If only he had been involved like years before, I believe he would not be in the situation he is in.
The situation he's in?
Like it's some accident that fucking happened out of nowhere.
Yeah, the situation he's in.
And also, I note that as this priest is writing about him, he keeps calling him Jim. He's not calling him Father Bailey.
He's his buddy Jim, is his friend.
But also Father, because by calling him Father Bailey reminds you especially of why this is so fucking like horrendous. Because it's not only that he had this child sexual abuse material, it's that he is a priest. He is someone you're supposed to go to confession. He is supposed to be your spiritual advisor. Like, that's, you know, why, like, police brutality is always extra worse. Like, it's, of course, always worse to go around assaulting people, but police have the job. They're supposed to protect and serve. That's why it's, like, worse when they do it. Same thing with a priest. Like, I love how he's leaving out the priest part of this shit. Like, you want the church to pay for him. You want him to stay in a church facility, but you don't want to put priest in his name. Okay. Yeah.
Everything that you said, right? I have nothing to add to that.
Oh, terrible, terrible.
Yeah, does that have to clean up on it?
Let me see. Do I have anything else?
Digging it up.
Yeah, I just want to see if there's anything that like we should responsibly cover.
Oh, okay. Let me.
Oh, you just paused it?
Not yet. That's all I was looking for.